Okay.
It's our first podcast episode. We're legit. Oh my gosh.
So legit.
But we're Race Rant, and I'm Katie,
And I'm Rae.
and we just wanted to start this podcast because there's no real girl fan podcast for NASCAR. And we're tired of ranting I'm tired of ranting to my husband, and he's just like, he just gets it on a different level than I get it. And I'm like, I need a girl that understands what I'm saying about NASCAR.
Absolutely. And I rant to my dad, who could not care less.
Yeah.
So,
And
always a heavy way to start.
yeah. No, it's the worst when you have to rant to people that like don't even get what you're talking about. Like Trent and I tried to talk to my parents about the races this past 2 weeks, and they were just like, okay.
I know, I told my dad that I am smooth sailing already this season because two of my favorite racers are already into the playoffs, and he's like, literally, verbatim, woohoo!
Right. That's a
Like,
rule. I actually forgot about that.
it's so fun. I know, like, I am a huge Corey Heim fan. He is my absolute favorite driver, probably period. Like, NASCAR across all series. And then I'm also a huge Jesse Love fan.
Yeah.
Which is kind of comical because, I mean, I started watching NASCAR last year, and it was one of those things where I was like, I just need to find a guy that, like, I want to follow, because if I can't find one person that I like, I'm not going to care.
Yeah.
So I used to play softball as a kid, and 2 was my number in softball. Jesse Love drives the 2, and I was like, yep, that's what we're going with, and it's been decent enough.
Yeah. That's
so
how I picked my favorite people. This is like my favorite number.
That's the same reason why I picked Ryan Blaney as my favorite cup driver. But my first 2 years of softball, I was 12, and there you go. That's that.
That's all you need when you start. I mean, when you don't know people.
Yeah, I knew absolutely nothing. So you gotta start somewhere.
Someone in my family used to watch NASCAR when I was a kid, and the only person that I could tell you anything about was like I knew of Jeff Gordon, and I knew of Dale Jarrett, and he drove the '88, and that was like my extent of NASCAR, anything. And then
I had zero extent of NASCAR. Actually, my biggest extent of NASCAR as a child was a kindergarten teacher in my school. Not my kindergarten teacher, but a kindergarten teacher. Her whole classroom was Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon everywhere. That's it.
That's amazing.
And I remember thinking, like, that lady's crazy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just didn't get it then. I mean, what
now we
5-year-old
get
gets it? Now I get it. Well, I don't get the Jeff Gordon thing, personally. But I get the NASCAR thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, okay, so my husband started watching NASCAR first. He used to watch it with his grandpa as a kid. And then when we had kids and they started getting old enough to watch TV, and I was like telling Trent, you gotta be careful what you watch on TV now, because we have kids.
Absolutely.
He's like, what's the safe thing I can watch most of the year? And it ended up being NASCAR. And he's like, I could get back into this. Like, he used to watch it. And so he made me watch some with him, and he was like, pick somebody. And the very first year I picked people, I picked Tyler Reddick, who's still like...
Love.
Yeah.
Love. We love a ginger homie.
Yes, I still love him, but then it was like I kept picking people, and then they kept moving up. Like, so I had somebody in Cup that I liked, somebody in Xfinity I liked, and then they moved up, and I was like, I can't keep doing this every year. So.
That's how I am with Daniel Dye 100%. I started my first time ever watching a NASCAR race, period. I truly only turned on because I am a huge football fan, and the Super Bowl was over, and I was like, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing with my life.
Yeah.
NASCAR was on, and I was like, well, this is a long season if it works out. Like, I'm golden for the majority of the year.
Yeah, for real.
And I watched the Daytona 500 last year, and the Craftsman Series was the first one I watched, obviously. And Daniel Dye was my first driver that I picked, like, right off the bat, simply because they did the onboard cam, and I saw, like, his camera was called the Race to Stop Suicide camera. I was like, oh, that's so fun. Well, interesting.
Yeah.
Fun probably isn't the word. But that, that hits home for me. So I was like, okay, that's awesome. Like, it's really cool. And then I did my, normal, like, I have to be all in thing that I do, and I go and I start researching, and I'm like, okay, this is phenomenal. Like, he is it's not like he's just doing this just because, oh, I'm a boy, I want to drive fast cars. Like, he has a purpose. He has a reason to be out there, and it just, like, I loved that. So then Daniel Dye was, like, my go-to guy. I bought 2 shirts that day, like, watching. I was like, absolutely, this is it.
I
The
committed.
majority of my NASCAR shirts are Daniel Dye shirts. And then homie moved up, and now only one of them is relevant.
You're
Thanks, pal. Thanks.
yes, that's the worst. Okay, so you have like meaningful reasons. Okay, I picked Tyler Reddick because he was number 8, and then I just kind of like stuck with him because
See, I'd never. That's.
he's just so
Homie has
wholesome.
been 45 since I've been around.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, we haven't been watching very long either. 2022 was the first season we watched, and that was a heck of a season to start watching. Just like drama
Before
all the
my
time.
time.
And that's the only reason I really started watching it is like my husband would watch it and I was just kind of like whatever. But then he would like freak out and there's like drama every time. Like it was the
That's
height
my
of like
favorite.
Ross Chastain craziness. I feel like when he was just nuts.
I love that so much. That's truly like the drama is. First of all, it's like watching like Big Brother,
Yeah,
but
it's like a
like
reality
on a
show.
racetrack, which is 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
And it's also like I have a rule to myself that anybody who gets in a physical altercation with Kyle Busch, I am all in. I support you immediately. And that is why I have a Ricky Stenhouse Jr. shirt. You want to punch homie in the face? What? Take my money.
uh,
Take my money,
I don't
please.
even care who's fighting, but like I'm 100% invested every time.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go to all the social medias and find all the little like, this is what happened. This is what happened.
Yep.
Like, I need to know it all.
I need to know the background and yeah,
Yes.
all the things. And that's why I like this
Absolutely.
podcast. Is like there's some podcasts where
Absolutely.
like it's all guy hosts and they know all the lingo and the like slang and the
And I'm gonna be
terminology,
honest.
why the
I
cars.
don't care about your gear shaft. I don't
how many
care.
inches the car is off the ground
Yeah.
and how that
Like,
changes.
why did he fail post race inspection?
Yeah, yeah,
Honestly, beyond me, but like,
yeah. But it's like,
he did.
oh,
Got him. But thank you, Corey Heim. We will take the win.
yes. Oh
It's
my
time.
god, I'm done. Yes. Uh, yeah, and so like going off of the drama stuff, it's not even really drama, but my secondary pick that I picked that year was Noah Gregson, and my boy, I call him my baby, and Timmy. He's not even that much younger than us, but I'm just like my baby. But I picked him because I was watching, and I guess it was Xfinity. I don't even remember at this point. But like he won a couple things, and he would get out of the car like a maniac and shotgun beer, and I was like, that's a heck of a personality. And then you'd watch for like 10 more seconds, and he would go throw up over the edge, like right
10
before
out of
he his
10.
flag, and I was like, what? And then they did like it was like a pre-race little thing or something. I don't know. I don't even remember at this point, but it was like a cutaway of other drivers talking about him and like him throwing up all the time, like his teammates or whatever. And they're like, "Yeah, that's because all he drinks is Red Bull and like eats candy before the whole race,
Same.
so he's dehydrated and he doesn't take care of himself." And I was like, "That's it. That's my idiot."
Literally, Tyler Reddick saying, I'm gonna get a 20 piece and a large Coke in the car, please.
but but yeah,
Honestly, same.
and yeah, and so
That's
my
so
husband
funny.
he picks people because like they're really skilled and they like the craft and like, ugh, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
but
sure.
which one's fun?
Absolutely.
Outside of race day, you know what I mean?
I mean, who is going to explode a can of an energy drink and not get a single drop in their mouth?
Yeah.
Jesse Love.
Who has personality? Like that's
Absolutely.
yeah.
Not Chase Elliott.
Oh my god. Okay, me and you talked about this. He has the personality of a potato.
A
Okay,
potato. A
and
potato.
I tried to look today. I was like, is this just because I'm pretty new? Like I don't really know. And no, like his Instagram and stuff. Like
Dry. It's the Sahara Desert out there.
yeah, it's like you look at him and you know he's like a face of NASCAR. Like I get it
Hmm.
because you see him everywhere, but also it's like
Yep.
why?
He's a pillar on the dry, sandy foundation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's dry. Yeah,
And I asked my
absolutely.
husband, he's like, it was because his dad was a really good driver. And I was like,
Hmm.
half these
See,
people's dads are drivers.
that's how I feel about Austin Cindric.
Oh, no.
So I'm not. I know you love him. I'm just sitting here like,
Yeah.
shouldn't you be in like Kim Lab something? Like you don't. I'm
I know.
not a
My
fan.
husband really likes him, and I kind of like him just because he's a nerd. Like, I go for outside of the racetrack personality people.
Absolutely.
So when he wears his bow ties, when he does stuff in the booth, I'm like, he's so cute. He's such a dork. But but at least okay, so like Chase Elliott, his dad was a driver, whatever. Personality of a potato.
Absolutely.
And I guess he's good, but like I don't know, I just don't notice him that
That's
often. You know what I
that's
mean?
how I feel about Kyle Larson. The only reason I feel like Kyle Larson is like, I mean, obviously he's relevant. He's a great racer. I cannot deny that.
Yeah.
But the only reason I ever like remember he exists is because every time you hear him in an interview, he's complaining about something.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel about Kyle Busch and Austin Hill. Anytime they lose or anytime anything happens, they can never take responsibility for what happened. Oh, well, that person did this and this person caused that. You
Well,
don't have to be a crybaby about it.
well, and it's one thing to like lose, and it's one thing to like lose and act like you hate your life. Like at the end of the day, you're still racing NASCAR. Like that's so
You're
cool.
still
And there's some
making
people that take a
millions
loss.
of dollars per race.
Yeah, dude. Like shut up. Like unless somebody wrecks you out in an insane way, like just boohoo, go cry in your $1 billion.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
I mean, even when somebody wrecks you out in an insane way, for example, Ryan Blaney and Carson Hocevar, Blaney took it like a man. That guy is lethal. He is a lethal weapon.
Yeah.
Gets back on the track and keeps going.
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of Ryan Blaney because you never hear him, unless you're listening to his onboard like radio, then you definitely hear him. But outside of the car, calm, cool, and collected all the time, respectful all the time.
Yeah.
I also enjoy a man who can get out of the car after winning a race and not do a burnout because he has too much respect for his vehicle and the people who built it to do so. 10 out of 10, big fan.
I haven't noticed that, but I've thought about that before when people do burnouts, and I'm like, aren't they gonna have to like work so much harder on this car now for the
Hmm.
next race?
And that is, there have been 2 times in Ryan Blaney history that I know of that he has ever done a burnout. And I know that the last time it ever happened was in, I think, let me preface that. I am no professional, but I'm pretty sure that it was when he won the championship in 2023. And the only reason that he did do a burnout was because Mr. Penske got on, the captain got on and told him, burn it down. And that was a
That's awesome.
yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Well, and yeah, what are you gonna do with the car after that? Like,
Yeah, like there's no point. I understand a good celebration, but I don't understand the let's catch my car on fire in the process.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. It makes me feel for
Or
like the mechanics. Are they like, like watching it?
yeah, exactly. Great job. Now I gotta go work twice as hard for next
Yeah,
week.
yeah, for real. Oh my gosh.
And we wonder why back to backs are few and far between. Here's your sign.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
So what race did you go to last year? I remember you telling me that you did go to a race last year.
Yeah. So like we've only been like real fans, I'd say. Well, we have been real fans for since like 2022. That was like a crazy season. And then I started getting a little more into it, and then I don't even know why my husband thought of it, but he was like, "We should go to a race and like let's go to the one in Kansas." Like I don't know why we thought Kansas because it's like so much further from where we're at,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
it just worked out. Like the tickets are so cheap for one thing. That was a
Yeah,
big thing.
I know they're crazy. Like I was looking for this year, and I was like $70 for like
Yeah,
a full day. Because I mean, I've only gone to one race personally. I went to a Craftsman race because that was my favorite series last year. And I went to the race in technically Illinois. Everybody calls it St. Louis,
Yeah.
but you know,
Right.
and I mean, full transparency, that I went with my aunt and my uncle, because my uncle used to take me to drag races at the same track,
Oh,
like as a
nice.
kid. And like I said, absolutely nobody in my family is into NASCAR, like 0%. And so I was like, well, at least like it gives that like, hey, you took me there, let me take you there,
Yeah.
even though he drove. But you know, like
Yeah.
it brought that like, full circle moment of like, we're still at the same track together, even though that was 20 years ago,
Right.
which was such a cool experience to have in general.
Right. That's,
And I mean, my aunt and my uncle are the ones we're going again this year.
yeah.
But we went, and I'm not even gonna play with you. It was my first ever. I've been like die-hard NASCAR since the day I started watching it, of the Daytona 500 last year, and the second the green flag dropped, bawling, like not even meaning to, bawling. I was like, this is the best day ever.
Dude, yes.
And we're going back this year in September.
Yeah, September.
Yes, September.
Like a teen, I
Yes, and
think.
I think we're going the 6th because we're going to
Oh,
um, the Xfinity
whatever.
race.
Yeah.
There's not a crafting race in St. Louis this year,
Mm.
so it's Xfinity the 6th and Cup the 7th. But practice and qualifying for the Cup are the 6th as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So I'm
That'll be
just
so
gonna go
fun.
that day and watch it all. I'm
Yeah,
very excited.
that's dope.
So
We
excited.
went to the Xfinity race in Kansas and we took our son, who was 4 at the time, about to be 5. And it was like, it's such a bittersweet thing. Like, he was so excited. His favorite car is number 3 because, ugh. Austin Dillon, man. Oh, he's another potato. Anyway, he just gets on my nerves. But my son picked him because when he started watching NASCAR, we were all like thinking like, who are we gonna pick? We don't really know anybody. Like, I'm gonna pick 8 because it's my favorite number, and I forget why Trent picked 2. And then we were trying to think of something for my son. I'm like, well, he's not very old. He's not done very much. We're like, what about, is there a 3 car? Because you're 3, so you can root for the 3 car. And then as we've started watching, we're like, dang, we should have made it
Rough.
Yeah. So we took him to the Xfinity race because we wanted to be able to focus during the Cup race, and it was kind of good that we did that because he ended up being sick that day. So
Mm.
like he went, but he did not have a good time. Like, it was hot and sunny, and he literally watched like Paw Patrol half the time on my phone because he just did not feel good. And he had these
I will
headphones on,
say,
and he was like, "Mommy!" uh,
we sat under rain delay for literally like 3 hours at the track, and it was so funny because we would get so excited, like they'd take the cars from under their covers and they'd put them on pit road, and we're like, yes, like, it's happening, like we're going, and then they'd get like the blowers out and they'd blow the track off, and it'd be great, like finally after like 2 hours straight of
yeah,
rain. And then finally they take the cars, the covers off the cars, off pit road, and we're like, okay, it's starting.
yeah.
And then it would rain for 5 minutes.
Ugh, that's the
And
worst.
then they'd have to get the blowers back up and do like 20 minutes around the track. And then covers back on the cars. Oh, now the drivers are in the cars with the covers over them. And I'm just like, this is absurd.
That's what I.
Worth it though. I'd do
Yeah,
it any day. Any
if you
day.
can see it and it can finish, yeah, it's really cool.
Absolutely.
I think about that every time there's a race with like a rain delay or whatever. I'm like, rip to the fans that are there. Like, that's gotta suck.
And you never think about it until you experience it yourself, when you're just sitting in your poncho for 3 hours on bleachers.
Yeah, and like we haven't gone to St. Louis yet. We're going to this fall, but we haven't bought our tickets yet. That's a whole story. But like at Kansas, if we had gotten rained out at Kansas, like there's nothing to do. Like
Well, there's nothing to do really in St. Louis either. You can hide under the bleachers. That's about it.
there's no like big like covered area or anything.
Not where our seats were. Truthfully, I don't really think there is. I mean, the bleachers are covered,
I've seen
but
that.
you're still under the bleachers. And I mean, that's where like all the concessions are and all that jazz, but
Oh,
like it's still under the bleachers.
yeah.
But it's like all of the, I mean, there were times where like all of the, like merch trailers, like, no, this is ridiculous. Like nobody can even go do anything and like look at merch trailers
Yeah.
because it's pouring down rain. And it was like, it was so funny because it would be like 20 minutes of like torrential downpour. And then sun's out, not a cloud in the sky, and then it's like, again.
Very
What
awesome.
is happening?
What time did you go when you went?
I'm sorry, what?
What time of year did you go? Like what? I forget.
It was June 1st.
Mm, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, which, I mean, around here makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we went like towards the end of September when we went, and so it was just hot.
Yeah, I think this year the Kansas race and the Illinois race are actually like switched, like
Yeah,
what time of
yeah,
year they are.
I think you're right. Yeah, for sure.
Because
But
I
it was
know for a
cool.
fact
It
like
was cool when we went our first one. I forgot. Well, the Xfinity Eric Almirola or whatever won. That was kind of
hmm
cool, whatever. And then the Cup race was a great day. Like none of our drivers crashed out that I can recall.
that's always a plus,
Yeah, for sure. And then Ross Chastain.
especially this day and age.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. We're gonna get to that in a minute. But yeah, Ross Chastain won, and we were kind of like that was our villain. That was the guy that you just love
Mm,
to hate. That's who that is for us.
that's how I feel
But
about Carson Hocevar right now. I
girl,
love to hate him, but I don't know what it is about him because if he was literally any other person, I would be like, absolutely not. Hate, hate, hate. Especially after like crashing Blaney, I've been like, you are on my list. But
yeah,
there's something about him that I'm just like, he's just trying.
he's a baby.
Just let him do. He's 22. Just let him do his thing. He's just a boy.
Yeah, I think okay. So we're gonna talk about this. I have thoughts. Okay,
Okay,
because
I want
one
to know
thing
your thoughts.
I have, I have thoughts. Okay,
We have thoughts.
dude. Okay. Honestly, if nobody watched the past 2 weekends at Talladega and then at Atlanta, the, essentially those races are why I started this and asked you like we need to start this
Absolutely.
because it's just been crazy. Like,
It truly has. It's been absolutely absurd.
yeah. I mean, um, did I say Talladega? I keep saying Talladega. I mean Daytona.
You did, but you definitely meant Daytona. I knew what you meant, but yes, you definitely did say
One of the
Talladega.
big ones,
We're
whatever.
not quite there yet, but it's
Girl,
fine.
no. So if anybody watched the Daytona race and the Atlanta race, it's been crazy. And honestly, I don't remember the Daytona race like as intensely because like my life is just crazy right now. Like we just moved and all this stuff, and I'm like it's starting to fade out. But
I think I was on too much of a high. Like I remember it, but it's not like as like
okay, and let's be honest, like the coolest part of that whole race weekend was when Donald Trump came and did the thing. Like
oh, 100%.
whether you like him or not, seeing the tank on the track and then the Air Force One fly over, like I don't want to say who I think the worst president in the world is, but even if it was him, it would have been like that's so
Same.
cool. Like that was so cool. I think it kind of overshadowed some of the races a little bit, to be honest.
It 100% did. 100%.
Especially when you think it was Byron won that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Especially when you think of
Second year in a row.
well,
Let me roll my eyes a little harder.
I'm so mad he won. Okay, because I was listening to Denny Hamlin's podcast. I forget what it's called. Something detrimental, and you're a really good fan, clearly.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a podcast girl.
Um,
I have the attention span of a goldfish. It just doesn't really like click in my brain.
that's fair. I can't watch TV because my kids are just like I don't know. It's like they have a sensor for when I'm watching TV, and they've
Oh
got
no, absolutely. That's why I headphones and iPad my Gilmore Girls all day long.
yeah. That's why I had phones like podcasts, like so I can do stuff. I can keep track of them when I'm
He's so smart.
all the things.
So smart.
But he said, and this is so true. Like, what is William Byron supposed to say when he's doing interviews the next day about like, how did you win? How did you pull it off? And he's just got to be like, oh, I avoided two big wrecks. And I'm like,
Yeah, like everybody in front of me crashed.
yeah. Like he didn't. Everybody. And
I said,
I got lucky. Like I
my
see.
spotter said move, so I did. It's like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, well, we were disappointed anyway because Austin Cindric led so much of that race, and that's my husband's favorite driver, and I love him anyway. But like, he led so much, and like, I feel like he just, for lack of better words, like played a good game. You know what I mean? He ran a good
yeah,
race,
absolutely.
and then,
Nice effort, but to no prevail.
and so, oh my god, and then he just gets crashed out. I felt like none of that was his fault. He's my baby. Even if it was his fault, it's not his fault. But I really don't think it was. And then Byron just like comes out of nowhere and gets to say he won at Daytona 2 years in a row, and I'm like, bro, barely. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, because everybody else literally crashed out. Like,
Oh my god, it was so stupid. And I was thinking about that. Like, yeah, how does he feel like after the race? He's clearly celebrating, like,
I
you
mean,
know,
that's exactly how I feel about Christopher Bell winning his race last year, where he woke up in a trailer. Hey, dude, you won because of a rain, like a rain out.
yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
Is that really worth celebrating? And I feel like that's the same way that Corey Haim felt after that as well, because like, sure, I won, but I didn't win, but I won. You know, because of
You get credit,
technicalities.
right, right.
Yeah.
You get the credit and you get the money, but it's like, did you earn it as much as you could?
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing though. I do feel like personally, like William Byron, did he earn it? Absolutely not. No.
Yeah,
But at the same, like on the other hand, it's like, did Corey Haim earn it? Yeah, because his truck didn't fail after his inspection. Like that to me, like if you're gonna play stupid,
right.
maybe don't. Like
Yeah,
you're gonna get caught.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Use your brain.
yeah. And I just don't know how you can not pass inspections at this point with like all the technology we have and all the stuff that teams are capable of. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And at that point, it just seems intentional.
Yeah.
And
Well,
when fines are handed out after that, it makes it seem like it was more intentional.
yeah,
I don't know what you're doing, but it's not looking good, Chief. Not looking good.
for real, for real. Ugh, I don't even know what to say about Byron. I had like so many thoughts, and I'm just like I'm mad like all the because okay, because it's one thing to have that happen at Daytona that day, um, where like somebody that led so much of the race they get crashed out, and then somebody who was like middle of the pack almost they just like come up and win, and it's like that. It makes it not fun for fans either to watch.
Well, yeah, and it's also extremely inconsistent with how they're calling cautions on the rest of every race ever.
Yes. So, yes, good segue because that was infuriating. But then you go to another speedway. We go to Atlanta, and then we
Hmm.
have almost the exact same thing happen at the end. Okay, and I'm telling you, I have notes. I've rewatched Daytona, the 500, from the time there was that big crash that took all the leaders out to the end of the race because they didn't call caution. They like let it finish. It
Hmm.
was 11 seconds, bro. That is so long for all these other people to be spinning out and all these cars in front still going so fast. And then you think they're not going to be slowed down to like 50 miles an hour by the time they get back around to where everybody's crashed. Like they're still going to be going pretty fast unless they want to
Absolutely.
crash out on their way, you know.
Absolutely.
So,
See, and that's another thing. Like I said, I am not an avid podcast watcher because again, I have the attention span of a goldfish. But I did see an Instagram reel of Kevin Harvick's,
Harvick,
my bad,
yeah.
of Kevin Harvick's podcast where he is like, or no, let me correct myself. It was actually Dale Earnhardt Jr., I
Mm,
believe. It was like a reel of his where he thinks that NASCAR should change the rule,
mm,
um, that if the what would the crash that would cause the caution would be in the front of the pack to take out the leaders, that absolutely caution should be called. But then if the caution happens middle of the pack or end of the pack to where the top leaders aren't affected,
Yeah.
that it should continue. Because that's another issue that happened. Was that in the Daytona? I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure it was actually the Daytona, the Crossman Daytona, um, where the caution happened mid-pack,
Yeah.
and they called the caution to stop the whole race, and that ended up because whatever flag after the white flag ends the race.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got a little bit happened with like Atlanta. So like the contrast, the inconsistency, like you mentioned, at Daytona, they wait 11 seconds and don't call a caution and just let it finish. And then at Atlanta, like it's people at the front and people behind them crashed, and but they immediately throw the caution. And so like I think it was Bell won, but it could have been Hocevar, like if they hadn't thrown it when they threw it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And but the thing that bothers me, I like get what you said, what Dale Earnhardt said. I like that idea to an extent, but at the same time, like points matter.
There's no way to regulate it. Yeah, and
There's
there's
no way
there's no there's no way to say like, oh well, this person is fine, so this one car is fine at the beginning of the pack, so he can go, but
yeah,
nobody else can. Like,
yeah,
there's no way to regulate it. I do like the idea because it doesn't screw with everybody else.
yeah,
But I feel like, truthfully, I am just not a fan in general of the flag after white flag ends the race.
yeah,
I hate that rule. I think it's a stupid rule, personally. Like, I think that the only flag that should end a race is the checkered flag.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm just, like, I mean, throw us into overtime, but obviously they're not scared of that this season. Throw us into overtime as much as you need to, but I don't think that we need a caution to end the race. I'm not a fan.
Or like if it's about time, I'm pretty sure maybe you know better if you're a football fan that like they get so many overtimes and then it's like the next point or whatever.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
give us so many NASCAR overtimes and then have it the flag after the white flag ends it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I
I
see
was
that.
just really mad at both times the way that it went. Well, especially at Daytona because yeah, like points matter, and so many people didn't get as many points
Hmm.
as they could have if they had called the caution when the wrecks were happening.
Yeah, I definitely think that that is something that obviously I understand that every track is different. So the way that
Yeah,
things are called from track to track, especially when you're talking like speedway to um, road track to so on and so forth to normal oval, like obviously they're going to all have different ways of working,
yeah,
but I feel like there has to be consistency with how they're calling it, and that is something that I personally think big NASCAR needs to figure out. Like, it's because when you start to call things a certain way, you're so inconsistent, it starts looking like people are in your pocket.
dude.
And
Yes,
it's looking, it's giving conspiracy, it's giving,
yes.
oh, we want this team to prevail, oh, we want this guy to do better, oh, we don't like him, so
Mm-hmm. That
it's not cute.
that's
It's not cute. Not a
exactly
good look.
exactly what and I put this on our Instagram that I had like a conspiracy, and that was my conspiracy. Like what what would motivate NASCAR to be so inconsistency back to back speedways?
When you're already under lawsuits.
Yes, they're already racing so similar. We already
Who?
know that NASCAR is like just a money hungry monopoly corporation.
Mm.
Like it's either a conspiracy, which I can talk about. I got notes, okay, or
I do want to. I want to know. I am a big. I grew up on Shane Dawson's conspiracy theories. I want to know
okay.
what your conspiracy is.
Well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt first. First of all,
Okay, absolutely
the benefit of the doubt is that it's just a sign of the times. Like nobody cares about doing any job anywhere you go. So maybe
valid.
people are in charge of pressing a button or calling it or whatever, or just like I just want to go home and get my check. And, because like I don't know, is it
It'll be over soon.
yeah, for real? Is it like the same officials that go to every single race?
I was curious about that too. I definitely want to educate myself in that. I'm curious if the officials are consistent or if it's each track has their own officials.
Yeah. for sure. Because if it's different people every time, then you can kind of be like, okay.
Google
But is it the same people and then they just don't care because nobody cares anymore? Or here's one conspiracy: is NASCAR just like that money hungry that from the Daytona one they were just trying to like make it an exciting finish and just who cares who might get hurt? It's 11 seconds of driving to the checkered flag. Let's just let it go. And they didn't call the caution when they probably should have. And then they're so invested in the fans and viewership that like from week to week they're like, oh, the fans didn't like that, now we got to change it. And so then they
it.
immediately,
Yeah, that's valid. There's always that uproar,
yeah,
but it seems like no matter what the call is, there's always going to be that uproar because, I mean, NASCAR is an individual sport, and when you have 30 plus cars on a track, everybody, I mean, we have what, one driver in common?
yeah,
Like, nobody is gonna, somebody is always going to be upset.
yeah,
It's never going to be a, like when you're at your Super Bowl and you have your two teams, it's not an Eagles versus Chiefs type of situation. You have 30 people involved and
yeah,
numerous fans across the nation. There's no, not just the nation at that
yeah,
anymore. I mean,
yeah. That's one thing that made me wonder that though, like, is there are they so invested in what the fans say that they're just going to change how they do stuff week to week because the fans, like, I noticed that on Twitter, like people were just, how are
absolutely.
you going to call it that way? Like they didn't even talk about who won or who should have won. They were just like,
I
you
know,
were
to be
tossing
a
in.
fly on the wall at a NASCAR board meeting, like,
Yeah.
how should we run this today?
And I honestly don't doubt it because of the way that they change rules like week to week.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like
It's
I just saw
truly
that
insane.
some rule had to do with Kyle Busch like yesterday or today. I didn't even look into it to be honest, but I was like,
Yeah, Kyle
why are we
Busch, I'm out.
changing? I mean, probably fair against Kyle Busch, but
Yeah, like,
why are we
if it's
changing?
against him, I'm for it.
Yeah, he probably deserves it. No, but like how
T.
it doesn't make sense, you know?
I know. It's so strange to me too how like it seems like NASCAR is one of very few sports where the rules and regulations can consistently change throughout the entire season,
Yeah,
whereas football, baseball, UFC for that matter, your rules and regulations are set prior to start of season. This is your sports bible.
yeah, right.
Know these rules, don't screw it up.
Yeah,
But NASCAR's like, I didn't like that. We're
yeah.
gonna change it. Let me pencil that one in. Like, it's so crazy.
And it makes me wonder, like, I'll get back to my conspiracy a little bit, but it makes me wonder, like, with the 2311 like lawsuit stuff.
Mm,
I feel
love.
like they're really coming at it from like the you're a monopoly, like you,
Absolutely. And as they should.
yeah. And so it
As
makes
they
me
should.
wonder if NASCAR was less of a monopoly and like teams and all that kind of stuff had more input or whatever.
I know, and that leads me into as well how crazy like people get over teams. I personally am not a Hendrick fan. Period. It's not for me. I don't They're just in NASCAR's pocket a little too heavy. And I
Yeah,
also think it's shady as all freaking get out that now after, the lawsuit has gone on so far that they're like, oh yeah, we want a piece of this now that we can't be put in harm's way of not being able to compete. Like, I'm going to be so honest with you. I am not a Denny Hamlin fan as a racer.
yeah,
As a racer, he's not my cup of tea, but as an owner of 2311, hats off. I have so much respect for him as an owner, but he's just not my kind of racer.
yeah,
But I will say, even at that, like, I think he's just older NASCAR. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I have found throughout my year of watching NASCAR, I'm pretty sure Tyler Reddick or Ryan Blaney, one of them two, I don't know who is older out of the two, who I'm pretty sure Ryan Blaney is older than
yeah,
Tyler Reddick, but don't quote me on that one. They are the oldest. The majority of the guys that like I find like, okay, these guys are fun. I like these people. Like I like their strategy. I like the way they race. I like their demeanor from inside to outside of the car. They're in their 20s.
Right.
if that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure my favorite racers are like 20, 21, 22, like in that realm.
Yeah.
I was actually making a joke to my dad the other day because about Jesse Love, about how, like I appreciate him because like I am not like an alcohol-y girly. It's not.
Mhm.
I don't find it cute when you get up on stage and oh, we won and now I'm gonna go get drunk. Alex Bowman. I don't find that cute. I don't find it cute. It's really just not a life for me. And I was telling my dad, I was like, I just appreciate Jesse Love so much for not doing that. And my dad's like,
Yeah.
Haley, he's not old enough to drink. I'm like, valid. That would be illegal.
Well, you can't, so.
It's all adding up now.
Oh man, that's so funny.
Yep, that'll do her right there. But hey, hats off to him for being a minor, I guess.
Good job. That's so funny.
Good job for following the law, friend.
But you're
10 out
right.
of 10.
Like there's the people that are more fun to watch are some of the younger ones, and they race differently than some of the older people.
Absolutely.
And like I don't I don't know how I feel about it. Like I guess I need to have been a fan longer and have more understanding of it and stuff. But like,
And I feel like it has to do with our generation as well.
well, and the
I mean,
rules in NASCAR is coming up with every other day, and what they
yeah,
like. For example, everybody knows back in the day, NASCAR was like fist fight, like
hmm
big. That was a big thing.
absolutely. It was
And
practically a hockey game.
yeah, it's amazing. And people like
Once
crashing
you
each
get
other
past
out on right. Let's go Bush more.
that, bring on the violence.
But like and wrecking people out on purpose and like that was kind of part of the sport
Kyle
and
Busch. I'm gonna wreck him. Freaking idiot.
yeah. And but then I learned this when I was listening to Jenny, like too, the cars used to be faster. Like NASCAR's required
Absolutely.
so many different modifications and different things to cars, they don't go as fast as they used to. So it's
Well,
also
I think a lot of that has to do with all the safety precautions too. I think that adds, which I mean, as seen in the Daytona 500, it is very, very evident that those are needed.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, I mean, there's crazy wrecks that happen all over the place now that you would like that would nobody would survive if they were the same cars that they had back in the day.
Yeah.
Which it's definitely a give and take. So it's like it's
But
but obviously keeping people alive is important.
yeah, yeah.
Big fan of that one.
Yeah, I guess.
Most of them.
But that brings me to my other point about it being a conspiracy because Denny was talking about how we've gotten to a point where like the cars are slower and there's like I don't remember all the different like nuanced things about it, but the cars are just
Technical side.
they're they're like 3x3 all of the time, like or two by two all the
Absolutely.
time, and they're all stacked together. And he was like, it makes for great optics on camera and for your little cut scenes that you're going to put in ads or whatever. But is that really that fun of a race to watch when nobody can pass anybody because you're all just stacked together? And I'm like, I agree because like
Absolutely.
there's people that have the potential to come way up and obviously if they make good moves they can. But then he was saying too, like so much of stuff these days is just like luck. Because you can't have skill when you're all just packed and nobody can move.
Yeah, and especially when, I mean your top three, if you're 3x3 all the way around, your front three, they're the only ones keeping everybody in that packed in like sardines. Because if you don't have that blockage of air, that tunnel happening, like you're all
Hmm.
nobody's moving.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing because I mean Ryan Blaney moved up like 11 places, 9 to 11, somewhere in there,
Yeah.
places in 2 laps
Yeah.
last week. And it was just like, and he kept saying, like, I just can't get anywhere. I can't get around it.
Mm.
And I personally, I understand going 3x3. I understand if you can fit.
Yeah.
But also, like, I would be a fan of a passing lane in NASCAR.
Yeah.
Like,
Something.
being implemented to where, like, allow people to make the big moves because that's what makes it exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, and also when you're in 3x3, that's when Carson Hocevar gets himself in trouble.
Mm.
That's when coming down and Joey Logano and,
Yeah.
crashing people out. Like that's where the big crashes happen. You wouldn't have these big, huge to-dos of people losing everything
Yeah.
if a passing lane. I realize that's never going to happen, and that's absolutely absurd to think that would ever happen, but it takes some of the joy out of it because now it's just like y'all are on the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
That's all that's happening. No, the only people that are changing are the people in the back, and that's where Tony Brenninger likes to hang out anyways.
Yeah.
So,
It's just, and
whoop-de-doopty.
too, like I've heard drivers say this, like it's a different kind of race when you're in the pack versus when you're in the front. And then this is my husband and I's pet peeve. If you're watching, if Fox is the one that's covering the races, you only ever see like the front few people, and then like last weekend you missed the wreck. That's what ended the race. You didn't
Yes,
even get to see the wreck that ended up ending the race because they
absolutely.
don't. So they either show just the front people, or they show these stupid views of when they're like zip 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 zip, zip zipping by, and I'm like, just zoom out, let us.
Or my absolute favorite thing when you're in your like the race is still going on and oh this person crashed and this person crashed and this person crashed. Let's go do interviews with them. And you can't hear them because all you hear is zip 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 zip. Zip.
Yeah,
You could have waited. You could have waited until a commercial.
yeah. Or
You
they'll
could have
say
waited
it was
any other time.
for real, like, or
You can't hear them.
record it and show it to us later. Like, I don't know.
Yes.
There was
Just add it in after the race. Like there because a lot of times like especially I mean with the huge crash in Daytona with like the flipping and everything happening, I want to hear what he has to say.
yeah.
And you can barely make out anything he's saying because it's just
Well,
yeah, like you can't hear anything.
yeah, it's
And
not
that's the same way with like the Ryan Hosevar interview. Like after the race, like everybody around is so loud. Like if you're doing interviews, do interviews right where you can hear people.
right, right. I just want to watch.
I want the tea.
Yeah, dude, what I give to hear what all
Or
that.
if you're gonna show me that Ryan Blaney is talking to Ryan Hosevar or Ross Chastain is talking to Carson, or what am I saying? Carson Hosevar.
Yeah,
Anyways, you get my
I
point.
know what you meant.
If you're gonna show me that they're in a little like scuffle happening, I want to hear what they're
I
saying.
I want to know. You can't tell me they
Like,
don't have those like
granted,
sonar mics.
Ryan Blaney's involved. You probably can't air that on television.
That's so fair. That's so fair.
But give me a little bleep here and there, you know? Like,
Even
it's fine.
all I hear is bleep 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 bleep. That's still
Wouldn't be the first time NASCAR, aired an F word or two on the
yeah,
live televisions.
it happens.
Let me know what's happening. Because
Yeah,
then I have to go off of the little things that I see on Instagram, and it's like, but is that
yeah,
really what happened?
right.
Says who?
It'll be really interesting, and this weekend will be different because they're at a road course, and I don't know what the
Mm-hmm.
top speed they get up to. But I looked today, and the new track, it looks like the straightaway is shorter, so they're going
Mm-hmm.
to go even slower this year than last year. So it'll be different, but it'll be interesting to see as the season keeps going how Carson Hocevar races if he keeps it up because he races very similar to how I feel Ross Chastain used to race. And I got my notes, okay? In 22, he finished second in the playoffs. And then in 23, he finished ninth. And then last year, he didn't even make it to the playoffs. And it's like a
Are we
well-known
talking Chastain or?
yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's like a well-known secret or whatever that he had a talking to where people were like, "Cool it," you know. Like,
Absolutely.
and so it's like, I get it, but at the same time, I hated the guy. I didn't like him. I thought he was a jerk. But at the same time, he made it so fun to watch a race. Like I don't want him crashing out people for like no
You
good.
have to have a villain.
Yes.
Or else we're all holding hands, skipping down the hallway, singing "Kumbaya," and that's not fun.
Yeah. Well, and then like we said with mentioning my conspiracies a little bit, like if we're gonna keep going the way we go, and then it's either like luck of how not luck, but it comes down to how you qualify to see where you're gonna be in the pack, or it comes down to luck of crashes. How many times are we gonna let people in the front crash without would like and we don't start thinking why does this keep on happening, is it really just aggression every single time and every single time the front of the pack's going to wreck out, or is it something else? Because I don't have like a set in stone conspiracy, but I just have things that are like interesting, like the past 2 races have been speedway races, and everybody knows that Fords usually do the best at speedways. Like they're
Hmm.
always in the top. Like that was one graphic they kept showing over the race was like, look how many Fords are in the like top 10 or
Yep.
whatever. And Toyotas are notoriously not as good at speedways. But I made a list, and I should have wrote down like who ended up winning and who was just in the front of the pack. But I wrote down all the drivers that were like should have won and crashed out because they were in the front, or people that did end up winning. And it was like 6 Toyotas either won or were at the front of the pack, and only
That's very
four
interesting.
only 4 Fords.
And I also find it interesting that the two most aggressive people that people are, Ross Chastain used to be a villain, and now Carson Hocevar is a villain. They're both Chevy drivers. Like, is Chevy purposely bringing in these crazy people who are, oh, well, aggressive, we're gonna knock you out, like, wreck you, have fun?
Yeah.
Like, it's very interesting to see how things are playing out in the team, like in the team world. But it's also very interesting. I know I talked to you about this right after all of the Carson Hocevar drama from last week, where it's interesting to me to see people who are so heavy in the team aspect of NASCAR compared to the individual aspect of NASCAR, and to see like where that lays. Because some people, like Ross Chastain, seems to think this year that it is so important to help your team, and if you're gonna push anybody, it better be a Chevy. Don't push a Ford. Blah 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 blah. And then Carson Hocevar, it's a one man show.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna. I don't remember his quote exactly, but it was absolutely
Oh,
hilarious.
so we're not in it to be a boy band and love each
Yeah, boy, yes, yes.
other.
It was like, and that's truly how I feel about it. I mean, at the end of the day, sure, you have your teammates, but it's
Yeah.
NASCAR is an individual sport. We're not all gonna stand out at the champions. We're not all gonna be a championship winner. There's one,
Right.
and it is what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Very interesting to me.
That's what I mean. Like, it'll be interesting to see as the season goes on if he magically becomes a team player, because that'll tell me that for some reason they are crushing people who are the lovable villains, and they might say, "Oh, it's too aggressive, it's dangerous." But then to like Denny Hamlin kind of talked about this on his podcast, like if you really care about drivers and like the danger aspect of things, why did you wait so long to call that caution? And like that was dangerous for people, because I thought about this. I was like, it's not that dangerous. Like they finished the race and it's over. But no, they're still going around the track pretty fast. I mean, they can't immediately start slowing down. They'll go all over the place. They're coming around the track pretty fast. I'm pretty certain the AMR safety team can't come out till there's.
No, nobody can. Yeah, absolutely not.
So they're coming around. They're going to still be going fast through people that are crashed out. The people that are crashed out can't get the safety people in time, and it's
And the
like,
people who are behind the crash are trying to move around the crash, and because of that, the
yeah,
safety team can't come out.
yeah, yeah. It's just I don't know. There's a lot of things that don't add up, and it's one of two things. It's like is a conspiracy, like it's something fishy. Why are they doing this? Or it's people are dumb and lazy and they don't call things when they're supposed to, or they call things too soon than they're supposed to, or what I think is most likely is NASCAR is just a money hungry monopoly.
I
Do
definitely
whatever
think it's the
fits.
latter.
Yeah, I feel like they just do whatever fits them in that weekend to get the most
What's
views.
going to get the most views? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
I
I thought
mean,
this was interesting too. Denny said there's a reason, and if you look at NASCAR's social media, like official NASCAR stuff, there's a reason they are constantly replaying videos from like the 90s and of Dale Earnhardt Sr. And he's like, it's because it was a different race. They let drivers like, you know, be aggressive and
drive.
really race each other and like,
Well, that's another point to bring up is it's crazy to me how NASCAR can say, "Oh, you did bad. That's bad. Shame on you. Fine."
mm-hmm,
And then, like for example, um, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch's fight last year.
mm-hmm,
Okay, well that's bad. That's unbecoming of a driver. You shouldn't do that. These people are suspended for this long.
yeah,
Fine you, fine you. but then the whole week after that
They
race,
use the clip.
that's the only clip NASCAR is posting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's crazy to me how you really want all your bread and butter from that, because you're going to find these people for that matter, and then you're going to get your extra money on top of it by exploiting it
Mm-hmm.
after.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't give a slap on the wrist, shame on you, and then promote using the same instance.
Yeah.
Pick one.
Right.
Pick one.
I
Because
don't.
I'm sure you got more money out of promoting their fight than you did out of their fine.
Yeah, because that's what, like, people, nostalgic people that liked the fights really love, and like people like me and you, we love the tea, we love the drama. Like,
Absolutely. I mean, shoot, that's why I bought my Ricky Stenhouse Jr. shirt. Absolutely. It's an
oh,
add to cart. Take my money.
I don't know if I could ever get past that after hearing that his nickname is Recky Spinhouse, and then seeing how he raced the past couple, is it last weekend or the weekend before, and I was like, I get it.
It's valid. Am I a true fan? No.
But he punched. Well,
But he punched Kyle Busch in the face.
that's another reason why I love my boy Greg
And that's a girl's girl right there.
yes. But that's another reason why I love Noah Gragson. Besides the fact that he was just my favorite lovable idiot, like, there's so many things that are just, he's just silly. Like, he's just a personality and a half, dude. But he, after one race, 2 years ago, I think it was, punched Ross Chastain. Or tried to. Tried to. He got punched mostly. But if he tried, is the thing.
He put forth his best effort. Should have
he
just thrown up on them.
he
He would
cussed
have
him
done
out
more
or something, and
damage.
Ross punched him. What, tomato, tomato, like. I was like, good though, because nobody was like, everybody was talking about Ross, but they weren't really saying anything to him. And then Noah, my little baby, just comes up out of nowhere, and he's like,
You keep calling him a baby. How old is he?
dude, I think he's like 27.
Literally my age.
uh, I'm gonna look it up real quick. I don't know, he's 26.
A year younger than me.
For reference, I'm 31, so he's really not a baby, but just, I don't know. I think it's just because he's just such a silly goose.
We love a silly goose.
Yeah.
That's
But
so fun. You know, you can't, in this day and age, you can't pick a racer based off of, oh, they're just such a great racer, because NASCAR really doesn't let them show that anymore.
yes.
You pretty much have to just hunt down their social medias and see what they're up to
Like, who's the
day to
front?
day and hope that you find something good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like, this past weekend is one that's most fresh on my mind. I feel like Denny Hamlin is a really good racer, and Austin Cindric is a really
Absolutely.
good speedway racer, and they both lead, and it's like you're so excited. Like, me and Trim are on the edge of our seats. Like, we would have been happy either one of them won. And then again, it's like somebody stupid does something stupid on the and like, it doesn't even make sense, the things to me that they're trying to do, and even the other drivers are like, what, you know what I mean? And and then it just wrecks everybody out, and then someone like, ugh, nobody cares about wins, and it's like, at
Do you
least.
guys use do you use the like the NASCAR app to listen to the radios?
Okay, so we got it last year, and then this year we were like, nah, we don't need it. But
Okay,
at the
first
end
of
of this
all,
year, I was like, add to cart, whatever. Like,
yes. And have you seen like the NASCAR app? They really stepped up their game this year on
mm,
the app.
mm.
Like now you can follow all your favorite, like it gives you like a live Apple map of the track, and you can like watch.
Yeah, so when Fox isn't showing you
Yes.
anything that's happening, you can.
I know, like like I said, I started watching NASCAR last year. The only race I did not watch last year was the Xfinity race that happened in, I believe it was Oregon.
Yeah.
And whatever Xfinity race happened June 1st. And
Mm.
the only reason I didn't watch it was because I was at the Craftsman race the
Yeah.
same day. So like I am diehard. I make appointments around things. Like I need to get my hair cut, and I was like, I need the earliest appointment available because I am not missing
Just
NASCAR. Like
register the day
I
before.
refuse. I mean, I am that daughter at like the family get-togethers. My phone is propped up on the table on the salt and pepper shaker. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm glued.
yeah.
I will listen to. I was was I doing last weekend? The race had started, and we're at a store, and I have my headphones in. And I'm not missing anything. Like I am not the one. I am locked in. So that little, I'm watching that thing all the way home.
Yeah.
A little Apple Maps.
I'm gonna have to leave that because I pulled it up to look at, you can select your favorite drivers and see what position they're in, because I know I
Hmm.
keep harping on Fox, but like, show us things. Hey, don't
Well,
show us
too, with it, it's the app is nice too because the app is real time, whereas whatever
on TV is delayed. I think.
streaming service, platform, network, whatever you want to call it, they are typically at minimum a lap behind.
Yeah, I know that's so frustrating if you're trying to watch on TV and listen to the.
And listen,
That's,
yeah,
oh, I know a wreck happens, but I can't say
yeah,
anything.
it's cautions out. You're like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
then you're really on the edge of your seat.
I'm definitely gonna have to get it because I want to hear what everybody says, like, especially,
It's very interesting.
yeah.
I will
There's a
say,
lot of
like,
TV this year.
if you have small children,
Mm.
that might be a earbud
Oh,
thing
don't
to, that's not safe for children, because they're not censored. The live feed is a live feed of,
Yeah.
spotters to,
Mhm.
well, crew members to drivers. So
Yeah.
that is a direct, and now we also have access to like channel two,
Mm.
through the radio. Sometimes last year they would switch off to channel two because they
Yeah.
couldn't get like good
Signal or whatever.
connections or whatever, and then you just lose it. Well, now if it changes to channel two, it automatically takes you with them, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
The NASCAR app has definitely like upped its game this year, and I'm very appreciative of it. I'm
Yeah.
like, if I'm spending $30 for this, like yearly, you could give me some bonus. Like I'm cool with that.
That's the other thing. These money hungry people. uh,
But the app too, like the following the track around, it's cool too because you can like select it. Like it shows you an Apple map of like the like an overview,
mhm.
above view,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. What is,
Yeah.
I don't know what that's called. Of the track, and then you can select on it where like you can watch either like your favorites around the track. You can watch the top 10 or the whole, like every racer.
Wow.
Which it doesn't give, like, you can see each car. It's just like a little bubble with their
Yeah.
number in it. But still, like,
Yeah.
if you're in the car doing something else, you can't watch the race, like, right there.
Mhm.
It's nice because you can do that and then listen to, like, the NASCAR radio
Yeah.
of, like, just the announcers. And you're
Yeah. That's really cool.
as good as you can be without watching it.
Yeah. No, I immediately paid the $5 or whatever for this month because I was like, I want to hear what's happening after the game right now. But now I'll have to definitely go look at all the other stuff.
No, it's the, it was like the day, I think it was actually the day of the Rumble. I was like, oh, I can't watch NASCAR, period, without my radio. Like, I got so used to it last year. That was like the one downfall of going to like the in-person race. I didn't pay the however much to get the little radio deal.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is fantastic, but I feel like I'm like missing
Dude, those are so expensive
stuff.
too. We were like,
Really?
oh, let's go. Yeah, because we didn't get it for the Xfinity because we had our kid. But then when we went to the Cup race the next day, we were walking around, and it was like over $100 to just rent them. But
Oh
they
my
also
God.
had sets you could buy that were almost $300. I was like, let me just hop
I'll
on
just
that.
bring my headphones next time and just listen to my radio through my phone.
I saw somebody
I
do that.
bought the app. I'm good.
Yeah, I saw a lady doing that next to us, but yeah, it was
No,
wild.
my phone was almost dead when I was at the race last year. I was like, I can't take pictures. I can't do anything because my phone is dead.
Yeah.
Struggle busing.
Well, I don't know about you, but we've hit an hour mark. That's a good
Works for
That's a
me.
good sign. But I think let's talk about what we want to do with this podcast moving forward. Do you have input on that? I want to be sponsored by Dale
Yeah.
Jr.
Little Debbie, hit me up.
All right, Celsius and Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, that would be cool. Dude, if I could get a Pepsi sponsorship, my life would be complete. I would retire now.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
as if I had a
Oh, I
job.
need.
I'm just kidding.
Well,
LOL.
on a more like realistic level, like I just want to be able to keep having a place where it's like girl talk, but we're not talking about like, oh my god, he's so hot, or
Yeah,
like
I'm out on that.
I just want race talk and
Yes, I
validation
want
and
I
tea.
want to be able to be a woman who enjoys sports without having to be I'm a woman who enjoys sports
Yeah,
without it being mansplained to me
yeah, yeah, yeah.
all at the same time. Like truly I want my cake and I want to eat it too.
Yeah, yeah. And I that's another reason I just like we need to really think about doing this podcast because I've looked at stuff and it seems like some people that have a podcast, I won't ever name names of people I'm dissing, but some people that have a podcast seem like they're a media person and they would have taken a job as a podcast host anywhere where they needed a podcast host. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They don't seem like
absolutely.
a fan that has a podcast because they're a fan of the thing. And then, um, like my husband listens to Door Bumper Clear or DBC podcast, which is cool, and I like them. They're funny, but one of them is a spotter, and somebody is a spotter or used to be a spotter, and they just talk like so over my head. Like I like what
Yeah.
they have to say. I like the details. They have drivers on sometimes. That's really cool. But then sometimes when they're talking about like the build of the car and how the air goes and we have to do this kind of, like I'm like I don't know.
But speaking of drivers, shout out to Armani Williams, who is
Yes!
already following us. That's
Yes!
so cool. That was seriously, I mean, I saw the notification. I texted you immediately. I was like, I am going to scream.
Dude, that
That is, he is seriously like so, such an influential person. I think it's so cool to like already seem like he's on our side, which
I
is so
know.
fun.
He
Like the
looks at all our
first
social
NASCAR,
media
yes,
stories.
the first NASCAR driver diagnosed with autism, that is huge, 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 huge in my life. Like that is
Yeah. It's really cool. And
leaps and bounds. It's cool in general, but I
yeah,
mean,
you have a
I
personal
am an
connection.
autism mom, and
Yeah.
that just it truly just like rings to me like pouring into my child, like you can do whatever you set your heart
Yeah.
to. Like there is no stopping you. And that is seriously such an inspiration.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for the support already. If for
Yes.
whatever reason you catch yourself watching
Oh my
us.
gosh, if he watched us, okay, that's what I feel bad about is like we are such a like niche show, but at the same time, I feel like that's really
You
good
never
because
know.
we're really unique. Like, is
Absolutely.
anybody like us that's wanting something like this? Like, I feel like we're the ones doing it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because
Absolutely. But
we're not girl bosses. We're just NASCAR
yeah,
fans that happen to be girls. Like,
yeah.
that's
I was just born this way, you know?
yeah. I was born this way, man. No, but that's what I want this to keep being is just like race, like post race coverage, and also the drama, the tea,
Yeah.
just
But
express.
coverage in the way that like I don't know what's going on under that hood. I'm
No,
not gonna
no,
pretend to know what's going on under that
I
hood.
don't know
There are so
strategy.
many terminologies that you are going to use, and terminologies is not even the correct word. There are so many terms that you are going to use that
Yeah,
I
no,
was
and
okay,
I
yeah,
don't
you know
get
what? 10 out of 10. You did great because I couldn't
it.
do it.
Yeah.
Like, hats off to you, my friend. But I mean, fact of the matter is I like my drivers because I like my drivers, whether they're technical good drivers or not.
hmm Yeah,
They're
there's some people.
still they're still there. They're still
Mhm.
out there. They're doing their thing, and that's cool to me.
Yeah,
And they're not a potato. They
they're
don't
not,
have the personality of a
they're not
potato.
a nepo potato.
Oh, potato.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we'll just keep doing this, and this is our first podcast, so this is just announcement to everybody. We'll just keep going, kind of how we did tonight. But we will do coverage or our tea talks or
Absolutely.
whatever.
And if there's any specific topic that you would like to hear us
Rant about.
rant about, let us know on Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah,
That would be cool. At
Raceway underscore.
racewave_rants. Absolutely
That's
on
my
Instagram
Instagram,
and Twitter.
and I think TikTok. I think I got that for TikTok too.
Oh, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, dude, that's how
No.
new we are. We set up like all our socials today.
Literally.
One. My friend was like, you probably should have recorded a couple of episodes before you went public. And I was like, nah.
Where's the fun in that? I mean,
Well,
that just goes to show that, we're really taking this a day at a time.
We are. And I thought it would be cooler to just like get some people interested because we're going to have our first episode now, which is just kind of like our background and our chit chatting. But then every race going forward, we're going to have our raceway rant after the races.
Absolutely.
So, and we might change
And
that
I
too.
mean, we already have a NASCAR driver following us prior to releasing a first podcast.
We're
It's
so
pretty
famous.
promising.
Well, yeah. So, yeah, we're basically famous.
Basically famous.
We have Armani. I'll just tell people that Armani is following us, and they'll be like the brand.
I mean, pretty much, he has his own brand.
Yeah.
Armani Williams Racing.
Yeah. Honestly,
I seriously, and he followed us before we followed him. Like, that's freaking wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm very interested to see who else will take a peek at our stuff as we keep going and prove that we're not just like a bot Instagram. We're like real.
Absolutely.
Oh, the other thing that we're going to be doing as we keep going forward is we share our Instagram and Twitter, and we'll both be live tweeting and doing stories so people can get an expectation of what we're going to talk about and rant about at the end.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be really cool.
Me too.
I don't want to keep saying it, but I do think we're unique, and I do think it's a niche, but I think there's a really big market for it. Like, I looked it up the other day. 41% of NASCAR fans are women, and that's
so cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, because I was thinking,
that is awesome.
When they show like pre-race and post-race coverage of like fans and stuff, I was like, that's a lot of women that you can tell are there because they are fans, not just because like my husband might.
Their husbands are.
No.
Yeah, I mean, my husband could not care less.
Yeah, I feel like there's a way bigger market for women than NASCAR even realizes, and I think that the things that I have seen that are marketed for women are not what like the average woman really is that interested in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I completely agree.
So.
And I also hate that like all of NASCAR women things are like geared towards like you're here because your husband is here. Yeah. Like
Yeah. Cool. That's gonna be cool. And then one day Dale Earnhardt will sponsor us and we'll just be set. We can buy real mics and real webcams and real stuff.
And not record in our cold basement.
Dude, I'm not so cold right now. Okay, so that was episode 1. I think it went great.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan of
I'm a fan of us.
But yeah, so we'll be back. I guess Saturday night because there's no Chuck race.
Saturday, no Craftsman this week, unfortunately. Big sad.
Yeah, hopefully nothing goes too late and we can just like hop on and chat and rant and.
But it is a road course, so no promises there.
Yeah. But it'll be fun. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to see what T happens. I mean, it's a different course, so there'll be different things happen than the last 2 races, but
yeah, and it's a different layout than the past year, so it will be all sorts of new.
Yeah.
And knowing NASCAR, we'll get a couple new rules thrown our way too.
Yeah.
You never know.
All right. Well, thanks to anybody that's listening or watching, and we'll see you next race.